And that's one of the things that I think a lot of times boys need is not just exposure to one guy.
One dad.
One dad. No matter how good the dad
is.
He can't be everything. And then that boy may need somebody to give the boys some perspective on the dad. Right? One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college. At a time when openly gay folks still weren't out. Who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that. To show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or whatever, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
You know, honestly, I'm so disappointed in Barack Obama. It is one of the most disappointing things ever because he has so much potential and he had so much opportunity to make a huge impact culturally. Forget politically, forget policy, because we all don't. Some of you guys actually live his presidency, which I don't even look at him as a horrible president. I look at George Bush II as a conservative, as a Republican. I look at George Bush II as the worst president in my lifetime so far. We have yet to see what the fallout is from Biden. But the reality is that he had an opportunity to be a transformational person in a positive way from a cultural perspective outside of politics. And what I mean by that, he could have used his influence to push traditional values, to highlight the importance of how we need to get back and reset, to some of the core values that, would allow for us to have stronger families. But he led into this conversation by starting off talking about how boys need multiple male figures in their life in order for them to have a well-rounded perspective of what masculinity is supposed to be, which I agree with. But he prefaced it in order to lead right back into this bullshit that he's been pushing, which is the thing that I believe tainted his legacy, and why guys and why black people have started to invest themselves against Obama and people that voted for him in general, regardless of who you are, because his goal is to continue to push this alphabet community agenda that is not best for the culture. It is not.
Yeah.
Right. And
right, Shalom, giving all praise unto Bashim Kor HaKorash, the honors unto the apostles of great millstone, and the honest brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity for four corners of the earth. And the brother everybody are coming out here to give you this truth for the grace and mercy of Yahweh. Bashim Kor HaKorash, giving all praise unto Bashim Kor HaKorash. It's going to be a relatively quick video as I'm in transit. I think the clip pretty much spoke by everything that we need to speak about. And Nimrod, which we believe is Obama, he's declaring, right, the sins of America, the sins of Babylon, according to the scriptures, as the sins of Gomorrah. I'll say it as Gomorrah, but you know already what the scripture says with reference to that particular precept. Hopefully this is going to be more YouTube friendly. But for intents and purposes, we see that this is the sins, the culture, the way of life that these people are invested in, and they're not interested in the furtherance of the community, so to speak. I'll use that word loosely, right? Certainly not interested in Yahweh Shema Shai's people, right? The Israelites that's spoken about within the scriptures lead us to say that this guy he's a Hamite, he's a heathen, right? Nimrod is a heathen. What I want to say is this, right? We see within the scriptures that the heathens pretty much figured out how to keep us down, and that was to keep us away from our power, to keep us away from Yahweh Shema Shai. And we understand family, that being a strong male figure within the household, is rudimentary to that. So instead of upholding traditional values, as the gentleman said in the latter part of the videos, instead of upholding that, he's pushing this alternative lifestyle onto the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans. He's been set up as the herald for that particular way of a life. And there's a reason for that. Again, like I said, to keep Israel down, you got to keep them away from Yahweh Shema Shai. And we see it's a visceral iniquity to participate in those alternative lifestyle acts. And as a result, we see within the scriptures many examples of individuals that participated in those odious works of witchcraft, and how the Most High made a move on them, how the Yahweh Shema Shai judged them. So to push this upon Israel, which, you know, this guy's a Hamite, but why is he being set up? He's been set up to get the so-called African American vote, right? That's what he's been set up to do, right? For him to do that, you can see that this is a calculated move to bring forth even more destruction to the Israelite and Native American, right, people, to the end the scripture says. And I'll end it off with this. Within the book of Psalms, the 83rd chapter, they have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation. Also, the scripture says how they have consulted together, right? They've taken crafty counsel. They've consulted against each other. They've come up with a wicked device as they lay upon their beds to to destroy us, man. The Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans. This is a calculated move. All right. Remember, this guy was held up as he was the so-called, and I say so-called, right, purposefully, he was the so-called first black president. And look what he's pushing. He's not talking about, let's go back to the way we was when we had the highest marriage rates, right? The Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans had the marriage, specifically Negroes, had the highest marriage rates, right, amongst all people in America, if I'm not mistaken with the statistics, during the times of slavery, right? He's not saying let's go back to that and let's have stronger families and let's get rid of hip-hop and let's get rid of this killing business that you see within the music. No, let's push the alternative lifestyle onto the people even more, right? So that goes to show you that it's been constructed to be a destruction. Why is he not up there speaking about, and I haven't seen the whole entirety of the interview, but how come you never hear him speaking about getting rid of, all of this, schism that you see between the so-called black man and the so-called black woman? You don't hear him speaking about that, right? You don't hear him speaking about us returning onto traditional values. Remember, Jake is really what they say, centered, their culture is really centered around the scriptures. Really look at Jake, man. Look at the comedy skits. It's always a time that they spend in the church. There's always a time. Every black comedy's got some time that they spend within the church, right? All of them have got some time that they got spent within the church. Now we know within the church that's just madness. We know it's madness within there. We know it's plantation Christianity, right? But you see that there was a culture that was there. There was a culture that was there. But this guy's come on there. He's pretty much told you, man, worship Baphomet. That's what he's told you, which is crazy. In any event, we the elect, we ain't gonna fall for the okie doke. We ain't gonna fall for the trap, right? Through the spirit and power, Yahweh Shema Shai, right? We're gonna escape the wiles of the devil and stick to the doctrine, which is Yahweh Shema Shai, which you see the real teachers, they're not in the church, right? The real church of the Most High is gonna be out there within the streets, man. And that's it, okay? And we don't condone this particular behaviors, man. With that being said, I'm going to say all praise unto Yahweh Shema Shai, double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone, honest brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity. Shalom.